And now it's time for us to discuss more of the headlines and simple keywords. And Adam joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Lena. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. I can't believe it's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday, yeah.
All right. We have a lot of grounds to cover, as always, starting with the highly anticipated Yoon-E talks. One of many to come. At least that's the expectations for now. Let's get started. Our first keyword of the day.
Meeting opposition.
So President Yoon and opposition chief Lee Jae-myung have met for talks, opening up a channel for dialogue. Now, emboldened by his party's election win, he was quick to pressure Yoon with a list of demands. Dare I say they tried to agree with policy directions generally on the idea of medical reform, on the idea of pension reform, how to get there. Now, that's where the details lie. Now, run us through how the meeting went.
Well, that's where the devil is, isn't it? All of the details. So, yeah, I mean, the overall concept they did reach a consensus on, but yes, a lot of underlying issues at hand still. Now, the meeting itself, it lasted over 2 hours, longer than the initially planned 1 hour. It was expected it might go on for that time. Both sides acknowledged the meeting as the beginning of communication. The top office emphasized that the meeting was a step towards embracing the public sentiment expressed in the elections. And he also acknowledged the importance of initiating dialogue despite expressing some disappointment. They did not reach a joint statement, which was expected. It was more of a casual over tea kind of meeting affair, but he did have a long list of demands. It almost seemed as if he was kind of cornering Yoon, and Yoon was kind of pressured and, yes, put into the corner, but still rejecting some proposals where needed. He said the election results was a demand for the government to change its policy direction. He also urged Yoon to stop exercising his veto power against opposition-led bills, including the special Itaewon Crowd Crush bill. He said the president should apologize to the public for doing so as well. He also called on Yoon to support the DP's subsidy program to all Koreans, where the DP plans to give 250,000 won to every citizen in the country. This is something Yoon actually rejected outright, citing the priority of executing existing budgets earmarked for vulnerable groups and saying that such programs will just exacerbate inflation. The opposition leader also urged the president to reconsider his diplomatic approach of making Korea's alignment with the US more prominent. He asked Yoon to prioritize efforts to pursue peace talks as well on the Korean peninsula. He also asked Yoon to settle suspicions surrounding his family members, in apparent reference to First Lady Kim Gun-hee, who's been under fire from the Democratic Party for the receipt of a luxury bag, as well as some stock manipulation allegations. Now, another demand was to consider the DP's bill to prevent chunse rental fraud and other proposals to address the country's mounting cost of living crisis. However, the DP leader also offered to support and cooperate with the government's efforts to overhaul the medical sector and the country's pension system. So, as you said, the overall concept of those reform measures the DP agrees with. It's just how to get there is where the differences lie. Now, the top office hinted at the possibility of continuous meetings, but the DP was a bit less optimistic, noting no substantial change in Yoon's stance. So we'll have to see if it is the beginning of more frequent meetings between the president or the ruling party and the opposition for that matter. But yes, it was a cordial affair, as you'd expect, but with an underlying tense atmosphere.
The pictures are a little bit misleading because it looks like they're both smiling ear to ear. It captures,
all smiles, yeah.
It captures a really cordial meeting, but that's the nature of politics, isn't it? Set aside massive differences, sit down, talks. It was a first in more than 2 years, so maybe we highlight the significance there and let the dust settle.
Yeah, all smiles with a very, very firm handshake, I'd say.
Were you there?
No, but it kind of looks like it.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Let's move on to our second keyword of the day.
Professors strike.
So the latest on the ripple effects of the medical strike. Medical professors at Seoul's top 5 major hospitals are stopping outpatient consultations and surgeries beginning today. This comes just before Lee Myung-taek, known actually for his strong stance, officially starts his term as the president of the Korean Medical Association. So what's the latest?
Right, so here's what's happening at Seoul National University Hospital and Severance Hospital. Doctors will not conduct surgeries or see patients in outpatient services on the 30th today, but will continue to care for inpatients and emergency cases. Professors at Bundang Seoul National University Hospital, Yongin Severance, and Korea University Ansan Hospital will also participate in the strike. Professors at Gyeongsang National University Hospital in Jinju are also joining. Seoul Asan Hospital and other major hospitals will follow suit with planned suspensions in the coming days. Now, the decision for the strike was made by the emergency committees at each medical school, allowing professors to choose whether to participate. The goal is to send, of course, a strong message to the government amid discussions about increasing the number of medical students. The government, however, expects these strikes to have a minimal impact on medical services provided to the public. However, medical associations are prepared to escalate their actions if the government moves forward with its expansion plans. Lee Myung-taek, for once, did warn that he and the KMA will be intensifying actions if the government doesn't make concessions. The professors have stated that they will also evaluate the frequency and duration of strikes if the government confirms an increase in admissions. Now, Im has voiced a strong opposition to the government's policies, nothing new there, stating that no negotiations would proceed without a retraction, a scrapping altogether of the current medical expansion and healthcare reform policies. Also today, a symposium will be held at Seoul National University Hospital discussing the future direction of Korean healthcare, with participation from striking professors, students, and residents. This meeting is seen as a critical platform for expressing the medical community's concerns and proposed directions for healthcare in Korea. Now, meanwhile, the scale of the increase in medical school admissions for next year is set to be determined today. In fact, the increase is expected to be between 1,500 and 1,700 students, but most private universities are likely to fully accept the government's plan, while national universities or public universities may increase their quotas by about 50% of the additional spots. Of the 14 medical schools that have not yet started the semester, 12 are scheduled to begin classes this week and 2 next week. However, whether students will actually return remains uncertain. Now, if classes do not start by mid-May, there is a significant risk of a collective failing grade due to insufficient class days. But the government is aware of the situation and they're trying to put in measures to try and avert such a situation. So we'll have to see.
All right, that's the latest on that front. Let's move on to our third keyword of the day.
Korea-Angola talks.
So Speaker of the National Assembly, Kim Jin-pyo, has met with the President of Angola to discuss ways to enhance economic cooperation, particularly and workforce training between the two nations. Angola is significantly younger than South Korea. Maybe we can mutually benefit here. Tell us more.
Right, so Kim told João Lourenço that since Korea and Angola established diplomatic ties in 1992, the countries have developed strong relations, especially in sectors like construction and shipbuilding. He anticipated that the president's visit here to Korea would further strengthen their partnership. And he also noted the active cooperation between the two countries' parliaments through friendship associations. Kim added that Angola, being one of the top 5 economies in sub-Saharan Africa, possesses rich natural resources and a youthful population. He said that combining this with Korea's development experience and technological prowess can expand cooperation in various sectors. He mentions shipbuilding and solar panels as current major investment fields for Korean companies in Angola. Lourenço responded that Angola, still an agricultural nation, sees industrialization as a challenge and wishes to learn from Korea's development. And he requested Korean investment in various sectors accordingly. Kim stressed the importance of Angola having skilled engineers to encourage Korean companies to invest there, noting that nurturing talent would provide a strong incentive for choosing Angola as a place for investment. Now, Lorenzo also met with President Yoon as well to discuss enhancing cooperation in areas such as trade, investment, shipbuilding, and energy.
All right, with that, move on to our fourth keyword of the day.
Gas raise on hold.
So, South Korean government has postponed a planned increase in civilian gas prices that was set for tomorrow. The aim is to help stabilize the finances of the Korea Gas Corporation, so they'll just have to hold on a little bit longer.
That's right. So although the government acknowledges that a price increase is necessary due to Kogas's financial difficulties, it has decided to delay this increase due to rising, of course, inflation pressures and the public's concern over higher utility bills. Electricity is also getting more expensive as well. Originally, the government intended to adjust the gas prices on May 1st, as it usually does, by incorporating the delayed cost factors affecting both raw materials and supply costs. This adjustment often leads to price changes on May 1st each year due to the alteration in supply costs. Now, industry expectations had predicted an increase of around 10%. However, the recent surge in domestic prices, driven by higher global oil prices and unstable prices of fruits and vegetables, has led to predictions that April's inflation rate could exceed 3%, prompting the government to act cautiously. They don't want to exacerbate the situation. Despite the postponement, the government views the adjustment of gas prices as necessary for Kogas's ongoing financial health and energy security. It is not doing so well in terms of its financials at the moment. Now, the decision to postpone is not a permanent freeze, but allows for future price adjustments when deemed necessary, and the government intends to keep gas prices at their current level until further notice, with a possibility of adjustments after May 1st if required. So it all depends on just how bad Kogas's financials are. They're not looking so great at the moment, as I mentioned, but so do the purses of the public at the moment as well. So, of course, the government will probably prioritize the public sentiment, especially after that election defeat as well. So there you have it. So gas prices are staying pat for the moment. But, of course, don't keep your hopes up. We'll have to wait and see how long that freeze will last.
Because fundamentally, you're just, pushing down the prices from going up using external means. Eventually, you'll need to just kind of bounce back up, and that will accumulate. But nonetheless, for a few weeks anyway, at the pumps, it will be the same.
Right. That's and also the weather's getting warmer as well, so no need for heating in the house as well.
All right, let's move on to our final keyword of the day.
Naver pressured.
So, the Japanese government is exerting pressure on Naver to relinquish control of Japan's top messenger app Line, potentially becoming a sore point for future Korea-Japan relations. Possible diplomatic feud rooted in, the tech sector. What's the latest?
That's right. So Naver developed Line actually 13 years ago, and it is now more than 95 million users. It is also popular in Taiwan and Southeast Asia as well. So not just here, not just in Japan. The app is operated by LY Corp, which is majority owned by A Holdings, a joint venture between Naver and Japanese investment firm SoftBank. Now, last week, Japanese reports said Tokyo had demanded LY Corp review its relationship with Naver, with Kyoto News saying SoftBank was in talks to buy Naver's LY Corp shares. Now, if SoftBank were to become the majority shareholder by acquiring additional shares from Naver would lose managerial control over Line. Now, Seoul's foreign ministry urged Tokyo not to discriminate against Korean companies. It added that it will continue to communicate with Japan as necessary over the issue. Now, Line has been under scrutiny in Japan over a data leak last year, which prompted Japan's communication ministry to issue administrative guidance. It blamed Line's strong dependence on Naver in terms of systems and network configuration as well for that leak. But interestingly, Japan has suffered a lot of mass data leaks that's irrespective of what's happened at Line as well. So that's the argument from the Korean side. But in Japan's eyes, it's saying that Naver is not really doing a good job in terms of managing the security of the messenger app that's popular in Japan. So Yeah, another kind of potential issue that could undermine Korea-Japan relations. We'll have to see if it does.
I mean, it is the private sector. Can we separate it completely from politics? We'll have to wait and see. And it's still a developing story. So what will happen if they take things to court? Sometimes that happens, right? So we'll have to wait and see. Thanks, Adam.
Yes. I remember mentioning about weather getting warmer with the coal gas, but I forgot that they're more about LNG and fuel for the cars.
I was gonna let you off the hook, but thanks for clarifying. Thanks.
Yes, I thought I needed to.
See you tomorrow.
You're very welcome. See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.